My name is Mugume Ronald. I work for Naro, Rebitabazadi, the Western Highland Agroecological Zone. We are based in Fort Portal. I work in Apiculture Department. I welcome you today in this lesson of apiary site selection. There are a number of factors that we consider when we are selecting an apiary site. And one of them is having an access road to the apiary. Access road is very important because when you're moving to the apiary, you need to be moving in a clear path. You might need to drive or to ride there, or even move there quickly without any disturbance during your apiary operations. So an apiary walkway is important, and it should be maintained by slashing and removing the trash from the walkway. Then the other thing to consider during apiary site selection is shade in your apiary. Shade is very important. You know, when bees are working, they don't need a lot of sunshine or a lot of coldness. They need moderate temperature. When it is too hot, they concentrate on regulating the temperature, trying to lower it. And there they will concentrate on fetching water, and then they are trying to fan and cool the hive. But when the temperatures are low, also, the bees just remain clustering inside and they don't go for work. But when the temperature is moderate, the bees are able to do other works like collecting pollen, collecting nectar, propolis, cleaning, without any interference. So that's why in our apiary sites, or the sites we're going to select, we should consider shade for the apiary. Then the other thing, you need bee forage plants. Like in the pictures you will see, we have angel's trumpet. Angel's trumpet is one of the bee forage plants that is preferred by the bees, and it is very important for nectar and pollen. So you can see my walkway is slashed very well, and on the sides, to utilize the space, I have used the angel's trumpet on both sides, and then I can walk through the apiary. So bee shades are important. They provide you nectar and pollen for the plants, but also at a certain time they can be shade for your bees. For example, if you sited a hive under a big shade, for example like bottle brush, if it is a big shade and you site under, so it will be working on many things. It is a bee shade, but also a forage plant. So also forages are important. Instead of bees going very far to collect nectar and pollen, they can still collect it from near. And so when we are looking at forages, there should be varieties of bee forages, because different forages secrete nectaries and pollens different hours of the day. So to occupy your bees, you need a variety of forages. As you're going to see in this lesson, we have angel's trumpet, we have ochimum, we have caliandra, calothysus, we have bottle brush, to mention. Then the other factor I want to talk about while selecting an apiary is security. Here we are talking in terms of trespassers. To keep your apiary tidy, you need a simple fence. You can make a live fence, or you can make for barbed wire. But if the capital is enough, you can make a bee house where hives are sited inside, so that trespassers and the other animals that will come to disturb your bees are scared away, or they cannot easily approach. Then the other factor, we need water in the apiary site, but it doesn't mean that you have to site in the swamp, or you don't advise people without water sources to have bees. No, you can bring water containers close in the apiary and then put floating bodies in the apiary. Then bees will come and step on the floating bodies and then take the water. Water is important for the bees in many ways. To keep the brood combs moist and larvae we have never found a comb dry. It is because of the water the bees collect and then they come and regurgitate it around the comb. But also we don't find the larvae is dead because there is a kind of, you know, there is a royal jelly, but also there is kind of water around. Then the other function is diluting brood food. When the young bees are being fed, they first, the worker bees will mix a little bit of water in pollen or in honey to make it soft for the young ones to feed. Then the other function for water is regulating the temperature. When the temperatures are high, the bees will go to that water source you have created and then bring it. Moving on with other factors, you need to consider the gradient of the area. Steep slopes are not advisable for apiary. Remember, when you're in the apiary, you have a bee suit around you, you have gumboots and you're carrying buckets or a hive. There's a lot of slip and fall. So you need to site your apiary in a gentle sloping or somehow flat. But we don't need where there is stagnant water, because stagnant water will bring a lot of problems. Many pests will come and the bees will not like that area. There will be a lot of abscondment. Then also you consider distance from farm activities. Here we talk about if it is a big farm, don't site close to the other enterprises like animals, like goats, pigs, things like cows, chicken. They might disrupt it. So we consider a distance of about 100 meters away from those other farm activities or enterprises. Because our bees are a little bit hostile, so they need a quiet environment. So it should be a little bit away, but accessible. Don't dump your apiary in the bush because they said they are aggressive. No. Let them be accessible as much as possible, considering a distance of about 100 meters for open land. But for forested land, you can consider 50 meters. Then you set your apiary. The other factor we consider is away from public places. For example, if you have a well, you have a road, you have a school, you're supposed to consider your apiary have at least 100 meters away from those public places. Even a graveyard. Don't site your apiary in the graveyard, because when someone passes on, you'll come to transfer the bees and the foraging bees will still come back in that place knowing it is their home. So it is very dangerous. So we have to select our apiary sites considering that it is not in a public place, because it will cause a lot of disruption. And then the other factor we consider in the apiary is you select a site which has less pesticide use. We know pesticides, acaricides will disrupt our bee activities and bee health. They can kill the bees direct because they are already pesticides. They are meant to kill insects. So when you site near, the chemicals will drift. But also when bees get into contact with some chemicals, they become very weak, less productive. Even the queens will become infertile. At some time they cannot work or lay very well. But in the long run also, when there are so many chemicals, they will be traced in the bee products. And so man will be eating honey and pollen, and it is already contaminated with the pests or pesticides. So we have to avoid sites that we see that people are using a lot of pesticides or chemicals, not to kill our bees. Then the other factor, when we are selecting our apiary, we should consider that a site we are looking at is not having so many bee pests and predators. Because if you site where there are very many pests and predators, they will disturb. Of course, predators will come and eat your bees and all the combs, but the pests will come and disturb your bee colonies full time. So you can make sure that you improve this site. In case there are simple pests like termites, you can destroy their nests, and then you continue establishing the site. But if the site has so many bee pests, then it should be avoided. Those are the points that we can consider somehow in selecting up an apiary site. We have talked about site selection in the first lesson. Now in the second lesson, we are going to talk about apiary site establishment. With apiary site establishment, there are also a number of things to consider, and you start now to develop your site. The first thing is to do clearing. When you're establishing now, you clear the walkway, which we have seen up there. Then after clearing the walkway, now you clear the bush of the apiary carpet. You clear so that you get a good view of the site you selected, considering the factors we talked about. Then you also clear the apiary fire line. Why we clear the apiary walkway, we talked about to have a good access and all that. But now slashing the apiary fire line, one, it is a fire break in case fire is coming. Then you have some short grass and fire cannot cross and get your apiary. Two, it is in fact used as also a walkway. If you come with the people or you are coming to inspect your apiary, you can instead use the fire line outside to monitor your apiary. Then why you also need the fire line, it can be used as a first address point. When you have guests, you can use that area of fire line, which is about 10 meters away from the fence. Then you are good to explain, to put your people there and explain to them without interfering with the bees. But also, it is a parking area. You can park a vehicle there, or when you have come to pick materials or products from the apiary, you can park in the apiary fire line and then you take them. Then I talked about clearing the apiary floor. You can see how you need to clear to have a good view. So we have already cleared the site. Site clearing has three folds. It has the walkway, it has the fire line, and it has the real apiary floor where you want to establish. So after that, you can establish now the bee forages. Since you need plants to be establishing themselves, you can have a number of plants to consider. For example, you can consider ochimam. Most people call it a mujaja. So you can plant ochimam for your bees in the apiary, because we said in a site you need forages. But if you don't find forages of your like, then you plant the preferred forage. Why could you decide to plant the mujaja or ochimam? Because it has a long flower which starts from down here, it flowers up to the end. Now, you can imagine this flower started from here, but now it is here. Some time has gone. So we need flowers that are blooming for a long time in your apiary to keep your bees busy, because bees are also busy all year round, so they need busy plants. And the ochimam was considered also because it secretes pollen and nectar all year round, and bees start on it from morning up to evening. So it is a full-time plant and it is less affected by weather. So remember, we are still talking about site establishment. So we talked about establishing forages. I talked about ochimam, but now we also have Calliandra calothysus, which is here established in the apiary. It is working as a windbreak. It also provides a simple shade for our bees. You know, cool air is needed in the apiary. But also up, we have our flowers. You can see our flowers are here. In its time of secreting pollen and nectar, we shall see the bees come here, probably starting from 4 to around 6. The bees will be here. We should know that different plants secrete nectaries or pollen different hours in the day. So after establishing the bee forages, because different bee forages have different spacing. Here for Calyandra, we planted a block at 2 by 2 meters and we made it a block. Then for Ochimam, we also planted at 2 by 2 meters and it is a block. Then we have other forages down in a good arranged way. So while we consider the top part, you can see the upper side has some gardens. So we said we have to consider like a simple forest around to stop the bees from flying direct to some simple gardens which are up here. So we had to put it here very thick. Then there in the middle we had to put Ochimam for them to fly at a simple level while they are doing their work. Then after that, considering the forages, you can establish a simple bee fence. Here the fence we considered was barbed wire fence, which we did, and it was made at half a feet. You know, the strands from the ground to here is half a feet, half a feet. You can measure. It is half a feet, also here half a feet. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. Their strands are 5, and this gives protection. Trespassers, human beings, animals like cows and goats, they cannot easily go through. But also you have to consider the poles. The poles were fixed at 2 by 2 meters. From this pole to that pole, 2 meters. From that one to the next one, 2 meters. And then we strained to make sure that our bees are not disturbed. They remain in their environment. Then after that, you have to consider the beehives. When you're thinking of beehives, there are different types of beehives and they need different outlays. So you can decide to set your beehives in a circular way where it is like a circle and hives are sited along the circle but facing outside, so that when you're inspecting, you're in the middle. The circle can stretch about 10 meters and then you have hives sited along. So you can inspect as they fly outside. You can have a linear format. You have a table stand moving like this and then you set your hives facing one direction. So you decide, you can have rectangular like this, a rectangle, and then hives are facing outside. Then you leave the middle part as a monitoring lane for you when you are doing inspection of bee colonies. So after deciding the outlay, now you site different types of beehives. We have traditional. For beginners, it is good to start with the traditional beehives because you have maybe small capital, but also maybe you are not used to bees. So you can start small. You get your interest growing, liking bees and loving them, having that passion. So in the traditional hives, we have we have log hive, we have the weaved hives, we have the pots, we have any container you can mold in any format and it has bees. Then you bring it in your apiary. Then other hives we have is the Kenya top bar hive. That one is common. We are going to see them. Then we have the modern hive, the Langstroth bee hive. Those are the hives you can consider, but they should be baited, ready to attract bees, and they are habitable. They should be clean. The entrance holes should be cleaned with small sticks, probably the size of a pen. When you're siting, make sure you clean your entrance holes, because when you're drilling in the carpentry workshop, some kind of sticks will remain and bees cannot enter. So you may ask yourself why you are not colonizing your beehives, because the entrance is dirty, and no bee, even a worker bee or a drone or queen can pass through. Then you also clean the inside if they are the kind of wood shavings, maybe there are pests like wax, wasps, you can clean. There can be even termites, lizards, you have to clean. Then you bait it. Baiting, we mean rubbing attractants like beeswax, propolis. You can smoke it with lemon scented leaves so that it is habitable. So you site your beehives in the apiary where you have set stands. So different hives can be sited on different stands depending on the materials you have, depending on the knowledge and the money. For example, the log hive, you can fix it on Y stands. A stand which is in form of Y, but it is wooden, as we are going to see. Then you can also site, if you have money, you get a metal bar like this, and then you put a flat bar here in form of Y. So you make two of them, one here, another one here, then you site. But you consider the height should be at the face level, because when we are working in the local hives, we target the face level. You work while standing and you're able to see through the hive. But if it is short like this, it is not advisable to bend when you're in the apiary, because you will get tired. Bees can sting you when you're bending. So you have to remain on a workable height. Yeah? Not even too far. You're not supposed to be on your toes while working in the apiary. Then you can have table stands that are wooden, complete wooden. You can have a table stand which has metals down, then on top you have bars. That's how we do establishment of apiary, and you site with the different hive stands. I'm welcoming you into another lesson where we are having a protective equipment, the bee suit and its components. Mind you, when you're a beekeeper, without a bee suit, you are not a beekeeper, because it means you're siting your hives and you're waiting maybe to go and steal or to rob. But you have to work with your bees, or you have to be a supervisor of your bees. It means when you have a bee suit, you're able to go and check and supervise your bees what they are doing. Not only, some people call it a harvesting suit. No, it is a protective bee suit. You put it on when you need to do anything in the hive. Maybe you have to check for pests if they're in the hive. You want to see brood development. You want to check on comb construction. You want to check on if there is honey. You're going to harvest propolis. You don't go without a bee suit, because bees will sting you. Now, the bee suit is a khaki material. Of course, khaki has two threads. It is not one thread. The sting of bees is two-lobed. So that's why the khaki has two threads. When the bee tries to sting you, it opens up the bulbs. So the bulbs will not enter here. So it has to be oversized. Then, because when it is fitting, the bees will sting through. Then you need elastic hands and also elastic legs to stop the bees from crawling inside. It has the pockets, the bee suit pockets. You can put your matchbox here in case you need it, or your smoker will go off. I will introduce a smoker later. So in the pocket you can have several things. You might be a researcher, or you want to note something, so you can take your papers and they are fixed in the in the pockets. You can even fix a pen. I don't know if I moved with one. Yes, you can fix your pen. Then you also have another pocket here. This is a hive tool pocket. This is the hive tool, we shall explain. It is always here. Then you have extra pockets for people with cameras, with notebooks, anything you think is important in the apiary. So it is a veil, and overall this is a black net. It helps you to view, because when you're in darkness, you can see in light. So that's why we have darkness here. We want to see in the beehive. But the net helps you to view in the hive, but also protects the eyes and the head parts. So we have a zip in the neck, which you tie around. Then you also bring this long zip up. So you are already inside. I'll demonstrate how we dress in. Then you have bee gloves, the rubber bee gloves. They are plastic in some cases. Because of this nature, the sting will not go through, it will just slide on the plastic. But if you have gloves that are made of a cloth or leather, you will kill very many bees, because the stings will always enter into. But here, you work gently as you continue with your activities, and the stings will be sliding off. You will not be killing very many bees, and you will not feel the sting in here. So the gloves should also have elasticated hands. Then we have a bee smoker. Why we use a bee smoker in bees? Because bees mostly communicate using pheromones. Different smells are detected and bees take response. So when you're using a bee smoker, we have used dry cow dung. This one brings white shoot smoke, which is in white shoot, as you can try to see, but also grass which has dried and remained green. It will give you nice shoot, which is not blue. Blue smoke is bad, it is hot, but this white shoot here, it is very good, it is cool. So why we use it? To disorganize the communication. When you smoke here, like this, in the hive, you disorganize the pheromone produced by the queen, and you continue working. As in, signals will not be very well transferred from one bee to the other to take action. So that's why we keep smoking, but working gently. So when you're a beekeeper, these are the principal tools you need. You need a bee suit, you need the bee gloves, you need a bee smoker, and a hive tool. This is a hive tool. You can call it the spanner of the hive, or the master key of the hive. Without it, you can do less, because it helps you open the cover. Remember, the cover is propolized, fastened with the propolis, and then you can lift. Then it can cut hard pans of propolis using this side. If it is a Langstroth hive, this side helps you to lift the frame of the Langstroth beehive. So this tool is as well important. So I want to demonstrate how we put on a bee suit. So you're supposed to have gumboots, but for me, I don't have them as of now. But hopefully these shoes will work the same, will serve the same purpose. So you remove your shoes or gumboots and then try to fit in. So I'm going to dress up smartly, then we shall go into. You can first fit in the right leg gently without damaging the bee suit, then the left. Then you can try the right hand. You can see the rubber, I mean the plastic here. Elastic is helping you to stop the bees from crawling. You can see it is not fitting, it is oversized. We don't want the bees to sting you. Then you pull up this zip up to half. Then you have the cape, round cape, hat, which is having the zips. You see, I'm getting protected. There is a zip here I'm trying to look for. So you do it, even this side. So I want to show you some parts here. You have to fasten this part. So you bring the zip from down up to the end, up. Then you bring the side zips also here. You pull gently. So you fasten these tie straps here. Okay, now I'm inside. So you come back to the gumboots. You put on the gumboots. You can fit them inside like this, or you can prefer putting them outside. But this one is so tight, the elastic is tight, so they are inside. When you try to force the overall outside, the elastic will be broken. So we are getting set. So what is remaining is putting on the bee gloves. So they are, as I explained, they are also elasticated at the end. At any time we are avoiding the bees to enter. Here I've closed, down is closed, then also here. Now I want to also put on the bee glove. So you raise your thumb and try to fix it here, so that when you're trying to put in the big glove, it doesn't remain out. So when you reach around here, you release the thumb, and then the hand of the suit remains inside. So you dress in very well. You see here is elastic, so it cannot allow any bee enter. The same way, you raise your thumb a little bit, hold the suit, and then you put on the big glove. Reach here in the middle, release, and then you pull. So you're good to go in the apiary. So I told you the hive tool, the pocket is right here. Matchbox is here in case our bee smoker goes off. It is here. So you have more of the lighting material, excess. You have more fuel, the grass and the cow dung. So you have to lift them and go to the apiary and do your planned activity. As you smoke yourself to get engrossed into the smoke, because the bee suit may have a different smell which will attract bees to sting you. So you smoke yourself as you go to work into the apiary to do your planned activity. So we are on another lesson. We have been talking about sighting, we have been talking about beehives. Now we want to demonstrate sighting a local hive. And in this case we have a log hive. The reason why I'm putting on a bee suit is because close to me they are colonized bee hives. They are bee colonies. So I fear in any case a bee can come and sting me. I am not protected. In case I'm not having a bee suit, then I will be stung. So I'm going to work while I'm dressed in a suit just to avoid bee stings. So we should avoid bee stings as much as possible. So when you get your site selected, you have cleared the bush. Now you go into sighting the hive. Now we are sighting a traditional hive, the log, using the Y. The Y stands. As you can see, these poles, they are two, and they are in form of Y. I want them to hold my log. You can see I considered the height. I'm going to sight and I'm able to view into the hive while standing. I will not be bending like this to view in the hive, neither on my toes. So I have to be on a workable height. So we have dug already our holes and we have sized our poles very well. So I want to fasten. I fasten my holes here by adding more soil. They have to be strong, standing enough. As the hive gets colonized, it becomes heavy. You know, there is brood, there are combs, there is honey, and also the weight of bees. But also looking at the weather changes. when it rains, you know, soils become soft, so your hive might fall. So you have to be with strong poles that will stand for some time, but also resist on the weather changes. So you have to fasten to make sure that it is strong to carry. And when you're working in the apiary, you minimize on the noise. Remember, we selected a site where there is no serious noise for farm activities and other disruptors. A lot of noise is detected by bees, and they come to find out who that person is making noise, and then they sting, of course. You can apply a ring of grease here to stop the crawling insects. Also apply a ring of grease here to stop the crawling insects into your hive. But also we considered shade. You can see our hive, once sited here, it is able to receive some shade to keep the bees active. Then you can see the forages around. So then also the gentleness, you can see it is not steep, it is gentle. So it's a good site we have selected. Now the hive is here. We have baited it. It is a log hive. These are the entrance holes. So we said when you're going to site your hive, you bait it. We have already baited it with beeswax rubbed inside there. So you make sure your holes are very clean, and the bees are able to enter. The scout bees will come and inspect the hive. If need, they can even clean more, then they can go and invite. So this is the entrance and this is the hind. So this is the hind, removable, but the front is fixed permanent but with entrance holes. The reason is, when we are working with a traditional hive, you know, you don't open the front. The bees have an arrangement. They put pollen here, put brood in the middle, then the food stores, the honey, is behind. So when you're coming, you inspect, you smoke it. When it is colonized up there, you smoke it, call the guard bees off duty, then you smoke, and also behind. You give it some time, 2 minutes, then you smoke again. You see my cool smoke, it is not blue, so it is cool. You smoke the hive entrance, the guard bees will go off, then you smoke, and then you will come to open. So I was demonstrating just in simple how a log hive is. So I told you we have a hive tool. Now you see I'm already using it. You make sure the hind cover is fixed well. So 2 people are better than 1 working in the apiary, but here I'm going to work alone because this hive is light, so I think I'm able to carry it. But if it is heavy, make sure you carry when you're 2 people. So I want to site it facing that direction, so that when I'm inspecting, I stand this side. So it is being sited. I'm now correcting the entrances to make sure it is aligned very well. I have to remove all the foreign materials. Then I check whether the hind cover is fixed well, and wow, I think it is done. We have sited a log hive on Y stands. On the site we selected, it is in the shade, forages are around, and the slope is not much. Thank you for following. As you can see here, there are Langstroth hives and KTB hives, the other side. But when you look at the stands, the KTB stand and Langstroth stands are a little bit short. Why? Because it is a different hive type. The KTB has top bars on top. So when you're managing or manipulating a KTB hive, you have to remove the top bars and you have to see on top, because the bars are arranged in this manner, so you have to be like observing from the top. They are arranged, the bees start constructing from the front. If it is a KTB, from here they go this way down. So you have to be on top and view over it. So the stand has to be a little bit short. Then for the case of the traditional, you can see the log hive. For it, the hive is a little bit high on the face level, because you have to view in the hive. You have no way of opening. It has no top cover, it only has a hind cover. So the only way to look through is through the hind cover, which we fixed temporarily. And it is easy to remove it. And the combs are arranged in this way. If it is round like this, so expect the combs in the log to be in this way. So it's better to view from this side while standing. So that's why you see different hives have different stands, depending on the hive type and the management practice. Thank you very much.